So it's been a while. I have no idea whose turn it is to go. I think it's my turn.
It is, because last we did was the musical episode. Boy, howdy, is this series a roller coaster of, like, if you just binge watch this, all episodes 1 through 10, like, man, going from, what was not Ghosts of Valyria, that was the last one I edited.
That was the last season.
Right, the Butcher of Jagal, like, what was that episode?
Oh gosh, I'm not very good with the naming stuff.
Okay, but you know which episode I'm talking about. To go from the Butcher of
Yes.
Jagal to the musical episode to this episode, like, what?
Well, they're trying to be sort of a serialized but not serialized show. And I kind of appreciate that. They're trying to stick to what worked for Next Gen and the original series, but also adhere or conform to what we're used to seeing now in modern television, which is everything is just a long movie cut
Right.
up into
10
1
parts,
hour
yeah. Yep.
chunks. Yeah. So I can't wait to talk about this episode because so many things happened, and yet so many things didn't happen.
Well, so many things have yet to happen. This is, it's actually kind of interesting. So sorry, before we go any further, I want to try something. So many of you kind of stop listening after the first like 3 or 4 minutes, which is totally fine. But before you go, if you can like this episode, I just want to see how many likes we can get based on having this little request at the very beginning. So hit that like before you go. Okay.
Great. Now everybody that you asked to do that is going to dislike it just because you said to do.
Or they're going to be like, well, now that you know I leave, like I'm going to stick around and listen to the whole thing, suffer through it. Just play it at 2 times speed. You know, just give us like 20 minutes as the episode trails on in the background. You won't hear it. It'll sound like chipmunks. And then when it goes quiet, you'll know we're done.
Yeah. I guess I should introduce the show.
I mean, I'm sure they know, but go ahead.
Well, I hope so. Okay. Well, as you know, this is the measure of an episode, where it is our continuing mission to explore what makes Star Trek genuine Star Trek and not just really good television. I think this is good. This was a good little slice of television. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jonathan, and that will be discussed. And we do this with 3 criteria. The first is there sci-fi actually in the plot? It's not just a skin. It's not just hand-wavium magic technobabble without any real explanation. Number 2, is that sci-fi presented in a unique or novel fashion? It's not just the same old MacGuffin that everyone has to grab. And number 3, is there a mythical dilemma that a character must face? Any character. Doesn't matter who. And when I say mythical, that is a portmanteau of moral and ethical. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Paul, and this week we watched Strange New Worlds, Star Trek.
Our one listener.
Season 2, Episode 10. Hegemony? Hegemony.
Hegemony?
Hegemony.
Until they said it, until I heard it a couple times, I did think, because it's hegemon.
There's a Y at the end. Is the Y
Well,
silent?
right, but the word is hegemon. Like that's and then it's hegemony. And it's one of those weird words where you change the emphasis depending on what the suffix is.
I like hegemony.
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 Like garage. That soft
Okay.
G with the E. Anyway, go for it.
They're doing their thing where it's just weird, weird stuff in the title. It's either like a Latin title that nobody knows what it means,
Like
or
Vokes.
This is happening in Discovery. By the way, I'm watching Discovery. By the way, I finished season 1 of Discovery, and
So I
we're
heard,
going to
yeah.
talk about that. We're going to
Very
talk
soon.
about that.
Yeah. Over the
Very
summer
soon.
when I have ample time to discuss and watch.
I wish they would do the thing that Friends did.
The
where
one.
It's all the one where you fill in the blank. Or a version of that. That would be nice. Have some sort of style.
Every episode is just in which. That's how it starts.
Yeah.
In which Pike saves his girlfriend.
Right. Okay, so the whole episode starts off. At least this is what I have in my notes. It's been so long ago, so I don't really remember what happens in the episode. I'm just going off my notes. So I'm just going to read what I have in my notes.
Okay. So something about notes? That's what I got from this.
About notes. So here's the thing about Pike.
This episode, oh man.
It's just going to be clips of us reacting vaguely to things.
Right. No, sorry. It's just a Gorn heavy episode. There's just Gornography everywhere.
Oh, good. You been sitting on that? Or did you
It just came to me. I was like, where can I throw that in? Like, it's just so Gornographic.
Anyway, it starts off with Pike. And Pike is having commitment problems, as we can see. Right?
As we have seen in the last episode.
Yeah.
And since episode 1
I know. We get
of season 1. Yeah.
Right? We get it. He has commitment problems. I don't know if they keep beating us over the head with it because every episode kind of resets, as I was saying.
Right.
Like bridging that gap. But I mean, at this point, we know. Like he's had girlfriend problems before, right?
But here's the thing too. Like he's getting exclusive with her, which maybe that's what he's gun shy about because he's banged a couple alien girls in this series just so far, you know, and like within the 20 episodes.
Weren't they both ex-girlfriends too? Somehow.
Oh, maybe.
I think they were. I seem to remember something like that.
So yeah, if he starts getting serious with this captain, you know, he's like, hey, I'm going to go to this planet. And she's like, isn't your ex there? Should I be worried? And he's like, yes.
Yeah, I would.
Right. I'll just keep my calm on the whole time.
Anyway, okay, so that just pissed me off. We don't need it. Like, we understand. We get it. We know Pike.
Yeah.
Right?
It's Pike's Place. We know.
By the way, when Starbucks introduced Pike's Place,
nice.
It was supposed to be this great thing, and it just tasted like all their other coffee.
Right. Well,
I mean, I'm not really a connoisseur, but it just tasted like the rest of the stuff.
Here's the thing for me. Like, it doesn't matter if it's the bright morning brew or if it's a dark roast. Like, it's just coffee. Unless they actively put a heavy flavor into it, I cannot tell.
And they're known for burning their coffee. Over roast. So
this is the dark roast we burnt. This is the light breakfast coffee we burnt.
Would you like light burnt, medium burnt, or full burnt?
Right. Well done, please.
Anyway, so we cut down to the island. Jack, the island.
Well, I mean, that's kind of fair. We've got a burning plane going overhead. Like, and then he's like, isn't that our plane?
What's going on?
Great. Well, and even in this episode, they're like, we have to leave. And Pike's like, we have to go back.
It's all turning into some sort of SNL sketch thing. Anyway.
Oh, I got some comment about that. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, we cut down. And they're in this like small town, Main Street type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember who said it, but somebody said, small town, they're doing the small town model. And
they chose the small town model.
Yeah. And I don't understand this idea of who would choose that. We're going to get into this in Discovery too. This happens in Discovery, where they just opt for technology that's 3 centuries old. Right. It's like, this is better.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's weird to have that be your culture, and that's how you live every day. But I mean, we also have Renaissance festivals, and there are people who LARP, you know, and like they make it. I mean, it's not an everyday thing. So maybe they were just there for the weekend, like mid-century festival.
Yeah, I guess that's a possibility. But here's the thing about these people who decide, like, I don't know, there are people now who do this where they eschew all technology and they only live, you know, they work when it's daylight and they sleep when it's nighttime and they don't have television or plumbing and that kind of thing.
Right, the Amish?
Well, I mean, I didn't want to single anybody out. But,
okay. Okay.
But this idea that they're not eschewing technology, they just picked a point where technology, like at a point where technology had arrived, like right. They use wheels. Wheel is a technology, mm-hmm. Right? They use some metal things. That's a technology to be able to use metal. You know, hammers. That's a technology, right? So they chose a point and be like, we're going to use technology up until that point, and then we will not use anything else. And I don't understand that because it's a forward-moving linear line of technology.
Right, but
so it's not like you're using no technology. That's impossible. You're not clothed.
Right. But that's the thing. Like it's not even they picked a point with technology and stopped at that point. It's like when you rough it going camping, but you bring like solar powered microwaves, or something like that, where you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna go live in the wild, be by myself, commune with nature. By the way, I've got my phone if anybody needs me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's recreation. These people are like choosing to live this way. It'd be funny though if the Amish did the other way around, where they live the way that they live, but when they go on vacation, they stay at like the Ritz-Carlton and binge watch Netflix.
Right.
That's their vacation.
Yeah. I mean,
I just don't understand.
They do have that when they turn 18. Like, I don't know if you knew that or not. There's been a whole like
it's called like Rum Springer or something like that.
Yeah. So, right. I mean, but yeah, to like have a 2-week summer vacation where they're just living at the mall, basically.
Yeah, so they said the small town model, and I just don't understand this idea. I mean, I can understand the idea of having a very lightly populated settlement, right? But this part where you opt to use 200-year-old civilization style, I just don't get. I don't get it. I don't understand why they would ever choose to do that.
Right.
I mean, I know why, because that was the set.
Well, yeah. So that was my note about it. Like it's very much a callback to the original series. Like we found this planet that has the Earth's western town in this one single spot.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It strikes me as just you're trying to. You wrote a line to try and explain away why they're just in the Gilmore Girls set,
It's amazing how this looks like Earth's Midwestern Ontario.
Right. So, and then the Gorn come. We see the thing flying overhead, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like, an inciting incident. It's so dumb. So here's the dumb part, though. The dumb part is they would just stand there. It's like everything is just like and doom is coming. They can see it coming, and they just stand there.
Right.
Nothing happens. Like they don't run around or like start typing away on their pads or anything like that. They just stand there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it.
Well, and what I thought was interesting, and I now thinking back on it, I can't tell if it was.
You can tell me.
I can't tell if it was foreshadowing or if it was bad writing, where Pike is talking to his girlfriend and the signal keeps kind of glitching. And like what I thought was like, oh, it's kind of cool that they're already setting up that like there's going to be some subspace turbulence in their messages, so like losing signal really isn't that big of a deal. But then to have everything cut off, like I feel like it wouldn't be that as the Gorn was coming into the area, the signals would start to be would start to lose their strength. Like the way that I took it was the Gorn. Well, yeah, the Gorn had a device that they activated that shut off all communication systems. So it should have been that like everything was fine until it wasn't.
Right. Yeah. I guess that was the point. And it made sense that, it was a good little device to make it so they can't talk to people.
Right.
That's the problem when you have basically limitless technology is if you want anything bad to happen, you kind of have to explain away the technology. It's always like, well, the transporters won't work. We can't go to warp. It's like, just like last week. It's like, we need to get better at this. These things keep going offline all the time.
Just call in Carol Kane.
Who?
This makes like I wonder because she wasn't involved at all in this episode, right? I don't remember.
No.
Yeah,
just like all the other ones. Yeah.
So I wonder, like, is she just a crew member now, and it's just like a big name in a really small part? Like that's because she was here all season and she did nothing unless she dies in the next episode. Like unless she dies in the season 3 premiere. saving everybody or doing whatever.
I'm waiting for her. I mean, we talked about this last episode, but I'm waiting for her to, even just as a character, not as Carol Kane, just something to do something that is interesting.
Right. Well, yeah, to do something that is her character, like there was stuff that Hemmer did, like it was his personality, and obviously he was a way more obvious alien, but like he did things and it was like, yeah, that's Hemmer, and Carol Kane is like, yeah, that's Pants. Like it doesn't matter who did it. It just happens to be Carol Kane doing it.
Yeah. Boring.
Right. Her character is boring, and it's sad because it's Carol Kane.
So then Pike decides he's going to go down and save his girlfriend, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to go get her. And no one has to come with me. I'm going to go alone. He's like waiting for everyone to object.
Right.
I'm going to leave all by myself.
All alone.
And then, like, I don't know, I don't remember the line, but Una says something like, not to speak for the crew, but I believe we all do. Like, we all want to fix the problem.
Right.
And I'm like, isn't it your job to speak for the crew? Isn't that, like, you're doing it? First of all, you just spoke for the crew.
Right. Right. I don't want to speak for the crew, but
we're all with you. Each and every one of us.
I haven't talked to anyone about this, but I can assure you we are all on board.
Right, Bill? I feel like Carol Kane took over the importance of Una in a sense, which is none. Like,
right.
Now they have two characters who don't really need to be there.
So they've doubled nothing.
We don't really need them.
Right.
Yeah. They doubled nothing. 0 times 2.
The problem with the Gorn in general, and I'm not really sure like if they're going to try to retcon this or if it's just kind of like, yeah, that's the Gorn, is the Gorn that we saw in the original series was this kind of, lunky Godzilla man in suit type thing, which is fine. But now they're making them into this very reptilian, fast-moving creatures, and I'm totally fine with there being 2 different types of Gorn. Just in the same way as like now there's multiple facets of what's Kronos, with the weird looking Klingons from season 1 of Discovery, and then the lawyer Klingon from Enterprise, and obviously there are engineering and scientific Klingons because otherwise how would they get to space? We've already talked about that. So like I'm fine with there being different types of Gorn and even different like phases of their life, but it seems like we're just accepting that this is the Gorn culture now, where like they're all full reptilian, and so like that's what I'm just wondering. Like, is it going to be that this is how the Gorn are from now on, just because we have the technology for it, or is there going to be some explanation either in Strange New Worlds or somewhere else that explains how we have these very serpentine Gorn, and then we get into, these Godzilla Gorn?
I like the idea that they all report to like the Godzilla Gorn from the original series. And it's the same guy in the suit. It's like the same suit.
Right.
Like they have these really slick animated Gorn reptiles type things. Mm-hmm. And then there's this. Well,
and I mean, that's the thing that I kind of wish they would do with Strange New Worlds, and I get why they don't do it, and it's fine. But like having Sam be played by the same guy that is playing James, because and just putting a mustache on him, because that's who Sam was in that episode with the flying loogies.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's the same thing as the Enterprise looking like it does. Like, I don't think the idea is that at some point the Enterprise reverts to the way it was in the original series. I think this is just how it is now, and I think I'm okay with it. I think we talked about this before, where just because it looks a certain way in the continuity of the Star Trek show of all the canon and everything doesn't mean we can't change things to make it look cooler. We can't expand and extrapolate.
Right. Well, see, and for me, that's where it stops being Star Trek. I have plenty of action sci-fi shows to go to. I like the fact that Star Trek is both allegorical and cerebral, and you don't have to, it's not an either or, they're not mutually exclusive. Like you can absolutely do both. And I think it's lazy writing and it's easy stories. If you just go into action, oh, here's a problem, let's shoot it.
So let's talk about Star Wars for a second.
Oh, okay.
Because this show, Star Trek, is starting to feel a lot like Star Wars. So in order to get away from the Gorn, they superglue themselves to space junk,
Right.
And the Gorn ignored them, which is exactly
what Han Solo did, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Like
yeah.
I don't know if they must, everybody's seen Star Wars. If there are people who are writing for Strange New Worlds who haven't seen Star Wars, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, but even if
get this job.
Right, even if that is the case, like they've got to be the head writer that nobody argues with. It can't just be somebody who got the job and they're like, what if they pretended to be the debris and nobody was like, that's Star Wars. Like,
right.
So it's got to be the head writer who's suggesting. It's kind of like George Lucas in general, where he was like, what if we do this? And everyone's like, yeah, GL, that sounds great.
Well, okay, let's pretend for a moment even that Star Wars didn't do that. All they did was super glue some trash to their hull. I'm pretty sure the scanners can see that beyond the trash that they super glued.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in Team America.
Yeah.
Where they have to make up the guy. Yeah. Where they have to make up the guy to blend in, and it just is terrible.
Right. Like dyed cotton balls.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same thing. Yeah. So it's in terms of Star Trek, it just seems like we're saying this once an episode now, that there are these similarities that just keep popping up. And I can't help to think that it's not a coincidence, or that it is a coincidence. No, that it is not a coincidence. Yeah. I can't help but think that it's
a coincidence.
Not a coincidence. Yeah.
Like you are thinking that
it's not one.
Right, it's not a coincidence. You're thinking it's not a coincidence, so you can't help but think it's not a coincidence. Wow. Don't raise your hand if you don't think Paul's not dumb.
So true. So true. Yeah. But we say it once an episode, it seems like.
Yeah, we are saying it quite a bit. Yeah, we did it with Lower Decks. There was another scene in Strange New Worlds that did this. I think the one in Lower Decks was very intentional because it was like beat for beat. It was something where it was like, I think the idea there being the Star Trek writers were like, hey, Star Trek can do Star Wars too. But I think on Strange New Worlds, it feels a little bit more kind of what you were saying. It's like, how do you not know that that's been done before in another sci-fi space show that's constantly compared to you?
It's starting to think like, oh, they want to reference it in some way. Must be what they're doing, right? Let's see who the nerds are.
Even there, like, kind of what happened in the last episode where they were talking about the bunnies, from Once More with Feeling, and they just had to like acknowledge that, yes, that came before. Like, if you're going to do it, like, you've got to subvert it. Like, you can't do something as iconic as Star Wars and like just do the same thing. Then it's like South Park and Simpsons. Simpsons did it.
Anyway, so let's just see what happens next week on Star Trek. The Empire, Star Trek. What? That's all I can do on short notice.
The return of the force of the. I don't even remember
all the force of the.
I don't even remember all the. Like, I'm trying to remember the names. The attack. The return of the attack of the Force menace awakens.
I just want there to be a trailing the in the title. Okay, so there's this whole sequence where the Enterprise has been blown up, and is it the Enterprise? No,
not the Enterprise.
What gets blown up?
The Lady Captain's ship.
All right, that's right. I forgot. Don't know the name of it.
Right. And no survivors. No survivors. Everyone's dead. Except
one person.
Except one person. I know.
I think the name of her ship was the Millennium Falcon. The USS Millennium Falcon.
What the hell is an aluminum falcon?
Aluminum Falcon. Oh, you're right. I don't know why I thought it was the Enterprise. Probably because it was 7 months ago that I watched this episode.
Right.
So there's this thing where Spock has to, they were like, we got to go over there and get something from the bridge. I don't even remember what he's got to get from the bridge, but he's got to go over there. And they say, I'm the only one that can do this. And because it's Spock. Why is he the only one that can do this? He just goes in a spacesuit and bounces around the bridge for a couple of minutes.
Right.
What is the reason?
I honestly don't remember. And I didn't even catch it at the time because it was something that, he was like, yes, there is an emotional aspect to this, but I'm ignoring my emotions, and logically I am the only one that can do this. And it was just like, okay, why now? Like,
right. Yeah. I don't understand. There must have been a line or something that they cut out that was like, oh, only a Vulcan. Like what can a Vulcan do that humans can't?
Inner eyelids.
Is that what it was? But he was wearing a mask.
Right. Very sensitive hearing.
Well,
green blood.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. Only someone with green blood.
I mean, guys, you got to understand. Okay, everybody cut your fingers. See? I'm the only one. I got to do it.
Told you. That whole sequence kind of made me mad because the nurse chapel is in there and they have to fight a Gorn in zero gravity. And there's this like trope about people being in zero gravity where it's like they're underwater.
Right.
And you can move your hand normal, right? Not everything is like slowed down in space. You may think that, like, because if you touch something, you'll bounce off of it and you'll just sort of spin forever.
Right.
If you don't hit anything. But you can flail and stuff all you want in real time and like real speed. Like you can move your hand. I mean, the only reason that space, that people who do like astronauts, space people.
Not knowing how that sentence was ending, I didn't know what word you were looking for. That's really funny. Those people, it's space.
It's space, yeah. So an astronaut, the only reason they move slow is because the suits they're in are just so bulky they can't move quickly. Right? It's not because they're in space. But the Star Trek people, they have these nice thin suits that they're in, and so they can move just fine. They don't have to pretend like they're just moving through some sort of viscous liquid.
Right. Well, and even there, like they're not using their suits to propel themselves. It's kind of what you just said. Like there are some moments where I don't remember if it was in this episode or not, but like when I think like when he punches the Gorn or does something, like he doesn't recoil when it happens. To super nerd out, there's a part where the Gorn's helmet gets punctured and then it suffocates in the air. But Enterprise, the episode with Gorn on the Enterprise series, like they showed that the Gorn can survive without atmosphere. So it was irrelevant for it to even have a helmet, let alone for it to like freeze and suffocate with the lack of atmosphere.
Well, maybe it's just more comfortable with a helmet on.
Well, but maybe also it goes back to what I was saying, where they do go through different phases, and maybe that man in suit Gorn is like the final evolution.
That's what they're striving for as a species,
right?
That they finally reach in 50 years, whatever, 10 years, right?
I was thinking like Pokemon. Gorn is evolving.
I know. I have no idea what Pokemon is. I mean, I know what it is. I just have I've never seen anything. Like, I've never seen an episode of what's that. Is it episodic? Okay. Like, I know that there was a game that was super popular one year where you went and hunted Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon Go. Yeah. So there's the video games, there's the card game, and there's the cartoon. And
Right.
actually
Yeah.
being built is a Pokemon Land.
Oh, is your Hasbro land open yet?
Nope, not yet.
But you're champing at the bit for that one.
I'm waiting for anything about it. They haven't even finished building it, and they announced that they're opening one in Kansas City. So
Well, it's easy to say that.
right, yeah. No, you don't have a job. You have a job offer.
But anyway, that whole scene, I felt like I wanted to like that scene because it seemed like an interesting way to create tension because you have this external force of you have to do it all in zero gravity. And, it kind of reminded me of the movie Gravity, where we're kind of introduced to the problems of trying to maneuver yourself in zero gravity and what the considerations are for that kind of stuff. But it didn't really do that. It kind of just turned into an action sequence that reminded me of something that we might see in the J.J. Abrams movies.
Mm-hmm.
But it just didn't. It didn't like scratch the itch of using ingenuity to solve the problem of this weird problem that you're in of having to fight this alien who is much like very formidable, physically formidable in zero gravity, which they kind of do. It just, I don't know. Like, I feel like this whole episode was like that, where the writing was so good and they hit all of the beats perfectly in terms of setting the stage and creating tension. But it just seemed like poorly directed. Like there's just a lot of static stuff, like not necessarily with the sequence, but it just felt like the raw material they had with the script was so underserved by how they executed it. Even that last scene, like there's just a lot of just standing around and actors kind of reacting.
Right.
And this felt like a Christopher Nolan type of episode where everything has to be moving at all times. Like no scene can be more than 25 seconds. You just have to keep moving because there's so much that's going on. And it just didn't feel that way with the camera and the way that, like, if it were me, like I would always have the actors moving, right? Whether they're walking down a thing, they always have this forward motion. They just didn't feel that energy from the show.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. There was not. There wasn't. I'm thinking of Chapel, like when she gets caught outside the just around the corner from the Gorn on the disc, and yeah, like it was not tense. It was just the camera was on her, and it just like we didn't see the Gorn in the same shot, and so it didn't like there wasn't that same level of edge of your seat,
Right.
and
yeah. And you need kineticism, if that's a word. It needs to move and you need to feel it. You can't just imply it with exterior shots and then cutting into a static camera. I feel like that was the only thing I didn't like about this episode. I mean, we're kind of, junking on it a little bit, but I mean, this was a really good episode, if you ask me. Like, although I do have another question about that whole sequence with Spock and Chapel. How did they escape the exploding ship? Like, how did they get, like, it was going into orbit, and its orbit am I right that the orbit was decaying and they had to get out of there before it decayed and went into the atmosphere? Like, how did they get out? How did they win? I don't remember.
Right.
But I do know that when they got beamed back in, Chapel kind of stumbles when she materializes. And I liked that detail because if you think about it, when you're going from basically zero gravity upside down, or there is no upside down or right side up, and then you all of a sudden have your weight on your feet, it would be disorienting, to say the least. So I liked that detail. Do more of that crap.
Right, but I mean, it's also 9 times out of 10 they're going from one place that has gravity to another.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. Anyway, but sorry, I wanted to finish my thought about that whole sequence. But going on to the bigger thing of what I was saying is that it just didn't seem very well executed. Is that, like, for example, when Pike sees his girlfriend, that she's not dead, They go to, they've been looking for her. It's like halfway through the episode, and there she is. She's not dead. That just didn't feel authentic to me. It felt like the way that they engineered that whole sequence of him seeing her and the emotional release of seeing that she's alive, and then they hug each other. It just didn't feel, it felt like they were going through the motions of, okay, I guess he would hug her because that's his girlfriend and they're going to Tahiti next weekend, And so it didn't feel right. Like I wanted there to be some kind of elevated expression of what was happening.
Right. There should have been like a wave of relief over him. And yeah.
Like he wouldn't say anything. Like she would just come and hug him, and he would just have to process because he basically thought she was dead. So did I, by the way.
Right.
But,
yeah. Until we saw her. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. Maybe he was disappointed.
Oh, good.
Oh, it's so good that you're alive. Can you go outside for a second?
I left my bag out there. Can you hang on?
There's a giant steak on the bag, like taped to the bag.
I was gonna say like slip some jerky in her back pocket. Okay, go.
So yeah, that was my biggest complaint. I mean, it was a really good episode. I mean, did you like it? Maybe I'm not preaching to the choir.
So, I mean, yes, I liked it, but again, it was one of those things where like 3 minutes before the end of the episode, I was like, how are they going to end this? And this is the first opportunity that we've had to sit on a cliffhanger two-parter, because our podcast is based on watching an episode and determining whether or not it's proper Star Trek, and we've said a while, like many times, that we can't do that with only part of the story. So, that was why we did Picard season 1 at least as one big episode, and it's what we're going to do with Discovery. And so, this is the first time where we are watching an episode of a new episode and it didn't end. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. But having said that, I guess I'm kind of on the fence about this episode. I was just kind of and I think because it ended on the cliffhanger, like I was really invested in what was happening and how they were going to fix it. And then when it just kind of did a slow zoom in on Pike and they're like, "Sir, your orders. What do we do, sir? What's happening?" Right. And then it cuts to be continued. That's, it's kind of like, oh, all right.
See, I wanted that whole sequence, like where he's having to make a decision, like stretch it out to like 4 or 5 minutes.
Sir, your orders.
He's just standing there frozen, looking off into the distance, and everybody just comes up slowly, like, "Sir, sir,
Captain." For me, the other way, like I think that he should have known exactly what to do, and he sat down and he says Ortegas, and then it cuts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like I think in terms of a cliffhanger, I liked it. I liked the way that they did that. If you're going to do a cliffhanger, I think this is a way to do it because, first of all, I was just happy that they're not canceled because I like the show. So
right.
I mean, I guess they could still cancel it.
Well, no, they actually just finished filming season 3, I think.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they've just finished filming season 2. It's like, yeah.
No, they
figured that.
Anson just posted something about episode 9 is something that either he or Pike has never done before. So if they aren't done, they're almost done.
I wonder what that means.
It means we're getting a season 3.
Oh, I thought you were talking about season 3.
Yes.
That episode 9 of season 3, he does something that he's never done before.
Right.
Oh. Okay.
This is definitely staying in the podcast. So I think so saying all of that aloud, I think that's part of the thing that bothers me. Like the fact that there are only 10 episodes in each season and they're already serializing their episodic nature, which I love. I'm totally, here for it. But there were so many episodes that we've had that could have been easily bulked up just a little bit to be a great 2-part episode. and instead we're getting this one. And I don't know the second half, so I could be completely wrong in thinking that this is going to be an amazing season 3 opener. But as of right now, it didn't feel like it needed to be a 2-part episode. But again, having said that, like, one thing that I am excited about is the characters that were abducted by the Gorn. Not all of them have plot armor, so there are some true stakes here.
Yeah. And, to me, it seems like I wish we had more of this type of episode and less of the novelty stunt episodes. I would rather it be more in line with the more dramatic, not dark, I guess, but high stakes episodes. Like the musical episode was fine. I just felt like it didn't do anything for the show. They can just say, "Oh yeah, we had a musical episode. Wasn't that fun?"
Exactly.
And I I kind of want them to pick a lane. Not so much pick a lane so we can, in my mind, categorize it accordingly, but just I want them to stick with a certain tone, because I feel like they get so much momentum dramatically or emotionally, and then they do a musical episode, and it just feels disorienting to me. I want there to be this continuity that, even if it was just a totally episodic episode where one episode had nothing to do with the last, they, all Next Gen, Voyager, they all maintained a certain level of continuity. Right. And I want that. I feel like that doesn't have to even exist just with Star Trek. I mean, I feel like every show should do that. And it seems like Strange New Worlds is trying to be the everything show, where we have comedy, and we have comedy shows, and we have mystery shows, and we have action shows, and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't work for me. I don't want it to be sort of not anthology, but what do they call that, where they sing and dance, like laugh in? What's the name of that?
Sketch?
Not sketch. Variety show.
Oh, okay.
Laugh in.
Yeah, Laugh-In
Timely reference.
Right. And I'm pretty sure Laugh-In was not a variety show.
I thought it was. I thought they had singing and then they had comedy, and no?
I think it was similar to SNL. Like, I would not call SNL a variety show. Anyway.
It kind of is, though, because they have a musical guest, and they have sketches, and they have a stand-up routine. Kind of is.
They have a stand-up routine?
At the beginning, the monologue.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
That's just a stand-up routine.
Well, we got a great show for you tonight. Yeah. Salt and pepper!
Wow. You pulled that out of nowhere. Is that an AI? Are you using AI? Just like a quick need an SNL reference that is related to Star Trek.
Oh, no, actually, I wasn't even thinking about Star Trek. It's the only bit that I remember about, like, opening monologues. Like, I haven't watched SNL in so long, so.
Well, that's Patrick Stewart said it that way.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the only reason I know that is because of John Mulaney, and like, so that's the only intro that I know is because of his comedic bit about it.
Oh, well, I'll edit the episode so you did it. So it sounded like you did it on purpose.
Okay, thanks.
But I'm gonna leave in this explanation of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I see your point, but I kind of disagree. Like, I like that this show is all over the place, kind of because it can be. Like, it's the only one that can. Like, we've got Discovery, which has been super serious sci-fi action, and then we've got Lower Decks, which is kind of just holding up a funhouse mirror to Star Trek. And then we've got Picard, and then we've got Strange New Worlds, which is like, it's the one that has the characters that, like, I feel like are malleable enough that they can be in all of these different situations, and we accept it.
Yeah. I look at it as sort of the Luna Lovegood of Star Trek. It's just like, that's kind of weird. What you just said.
There was so much to that. Like, that was good.
Are we allowed to talk about Harry Potter now? Because I know what's her name got canceled.
Yeah, we
J.K.
can't talk
Rowling.
about J.K. Rowling. Like, Harry Potter is still its own thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He
I know.
belongs to the fans now, huh?
I know, right? Like, Orson Scott Card got ripped into when Ender's Game came out, and like, you can't even like Ender's Game anymore because, like, do you know who wrote that? It's like, well, yeah, but I like the book.
Yeah.
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 Uh-huh.
Yeah, we like to pick and choose. Like right now, I mean, Ender's Game, not what I would call like Harry Potter level popularity at this point.
No, right.
So we're it's easy to let it go. But Harry Potter, we're still kind of, I don't know, we're pretty hot for Harry Potter right now. There's going to be a television show coming out.
Right. Well, and it's like over 25 years now, right? When did the first book came out? Were we still in high school? I don't think we were.
I feel like it was late 90s, but I have no idea.
Right.
I have no sense of when the first Harry Potter, I mean, especially because I think it came out in Europe first and then came over here.
Yeah. Yeah, that is absolutely what happened. And one of my coworkers was talking about how she was 6 when it first came out. And I was like, okay, you're done talking. 6 when the first movie came out. That's what it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like, oh, all right.
So we have nothing in common then.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to get back to my work now because we're done talking.
You put in your monocle to start reading again.
Right. Good day to you, madam.
I'm a guy.
I said what I said.
Agree to disagree. What bit is this? The never-ending bit where Atreyu dies at the end?
Yep. The never-ending bit.
It just ends in tragedy. Well, everybody's dead. Nothing won.
Well, okay.
No?
I mean, it's like the nothing never was.
I never... I was going to say it never was been.
And never had be.
Yeah. Solid. Right. Solid stuff. This is all staying in.
I know. I'm like, it's fun, but I'm also very sad for you. Like,
well, wait, let's see how it plays. Some people like it.
Right. I mean, I think, yeah, definitely cut out all the long laughs and the quiet and just have it be rapid fire. Like,
right. Yeah. Well, that's how it is anyway. We're just rapid fire jokes. There's no stopping.
Set it 2 speed. I know.
Yeah, with the feature that cuts out silence. There's no silence when you have that feature on.
That's true.
All right. So I liked this episode, even aside from its shortcomings. I thought it was a well done episode. What did you think?
I mean, yes, I agree. Yeah. All in all, I did enjoy the episode. It was fun. I mean, we didn't even talk about him, but it was fun that Scotty was introduced. And I
totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I liked him as a character in this episode. I thought it was a really good, it was a good take on Scotty where you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely Scotty without it being a parody of James Doohan.
Right. Yeah. I appreciated it.
Yeah. But
finally an engineer who does things.
Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's all Carol Kane was. Maybe she is just filler until we get to Scotty, which is disappointing. Like maybe she's the Pulowski of season 2 for Strange New World in engineering. It's just we're not going to get Hammer back.
Yeah.
But okay, so I mean, is it a proper episode? There's definitely a moral dilemma.
I don't know. I don't remember there being anything particularly novel about what they were doing. I guess Scotty did some interesting things. It just all felt kind of technobabbly to me, where you just have to get from point A to point B with the dialogue. And so I don't know. I'm going to say no. I feel like not really a proper episode or Star Trek episode, but it's still good.
Yeah.
Like it still was a good episode, but
Yeah, and it's a great. I will say it's a great season 2 finale. Like it did a lot of setup. It's got some high stakes at the end. Ending on a cliffhanger is, it pays off when when it's done well.
Right. It would be hilarious if they just canceled the show though. With this, like it's obviously it's like the Lois and Clark ending to
right
a show.
Actually, what I would love is if season 3 just started and and like it starts with everybody back and they just kind of mention in dialogue what happened. Like not in a, bring me up to speed, but just in a, like that was close.
I'm glad we made it, sir. Yeah, me too.
Right.
So what's next on the list?
That would be super awesome.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know of any show that's ever done anything like that. It's been done on commercial breaks, but to like end on a cliffhanger and then just passively dismiss in dialogue what happened to resolve
you mean, well, except for the part of acknowledging it in dialogue in the next episode, you mean Lost? Because they basically had a cliffhanger with every single episode, but it just never came back.
Right.
Every episode was a cliffhanger. Should we talk about Lost? I guess we already mentioned Lost. We've met our quota.
Right.
Okay. So
not proper, but a good one.
Not a proper, but a good one.
Yeah.
Next week, what are we watching?
Should we
Discovery
bring back the
season
random
1?
generator? Okay. Season 1 of Discovery.
Can you watch it in 1 week?
Yeah.
So tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, we'll start recording tomorrow.
So if we watch it all by our next recording date, we will watch Discovery. If not, we won't.
Right.
And we'll do something else.
So it's either season 1 of Discovery or
Random Generator.
Right.
2.
Do we want to
Random Generator? No, because
Okay.
it's not accessible to me right now.
Okay. Do you want me to do it?
I mean, can you get to it real fast?
Yeah.
People are listening and waiting.
Well, okay. So let's just do DS9 season 2 episode 23 crossover.
No, I have a better one.
Okay. Well, it's not DS9.
TNG season 2 episode 13, Time Squared.
Oh, if that's the episode that I think it is,
I think it's the one where Picard.
that's what I was thinking too.
They
Yep.
get the 2 Picards.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's what the blurb says here. The one with 2 Picards.
In which there are 2 Picards.
Yeah. Yeah, you all know. We don't need to read a blurb for that one.
What's the blurb that you have? I've got the Enterprise discovers a duplicate of Picard from 6 hours in the future.
That's the exact one that I have.
Oh, okay.
And by exact one that I have, I mean I don't have one in front of me.
Oh, okay.
But that was good. Did you just make that up off the top of your head?
No, I pulled up the wiki page, which is why I was saying, like, let me know if it's the same one.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
It's funny to say exact double. Double implies it's not Picard, but a double.
Right. Well, yeah, and mine said a duplicate of Picard.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
Right. But I mean, it's Picard from 6 years in the future. They find Picard, like it's not a duplicate.
Yeah.
They find Picard
Well,
from 6 years from 6 hours in the future,
Right.
sent back in time.
Exactly. So neither is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's what I said.
anyway, I'm looking forward to the random generator sound, which, by the way,
What?
going through the chapters, I completely forgot I did this, and I think I've mentioned it to you over Voxer. Like, you're a jerk for not putting in the sound effect on. There's that one time when I was like, normally we have this sound, and there was nothing.
Nothing. Yep, good stuff.
So, all right. Well, I've been Jonathan,
And I've been Paul.
and this has been a measure of an episode.
Oh, crap.
Oh, I didn't realize it was my turn.
Well, I don't know who to do. I could do someone from Discovery, or I could do someone from Next Gen. Okay, I got it. But you already knew that.
Oh man, your Janeway's getting better.